Hello and welcome back to Eurofootball Daily, where on today's top 10 we're combing the back pages for underperforming utility men and overpriced stars to find the players your club should avoid signing this summer. Prepare to be surprised. 10. Neymar. Coming in hot at number 10 is Neymar, who of course is once again linked with a return to Barcelona this summer, at the end of his 3 years in France. The PSG forward had 18 goals and assists in just 15 appearances when Ligue 1 was cancelled, and by the stats could even have hoped for more, with a truly obscene 1.4 expected goals per game. So why would we steer clear? Unsurprisingly, our objections are not based on the Brazilian's on-field performance. Currently taking close to 5 shots a game, a career best, and completing 6 dribbles, the highest figure in Europe, the 28-year-old has found a new level as he seeks to win the Parisians a maiden Champions League. But he still spends far too little time on the turf. Having averaged 2,800 league minutes per season at Barca, he has averaged just 1,500 each year in France, missing 62 games to injury as well as serving suspensions for disciplinary issues, including punching a fan. So while his record of 94 goal involvements in 69 league and UCL matches is exceptional, it's worth noting how small that number of games is, with Mbappe playing 100 in the same period. Remarkably, Neymar is older than Phil Jones and John Joe Shelvey, and will turn 29 next season, making him a medium-term signing at best. And with most clubs facing restricted finances this summer, forking out €200 million on the wide man, not to mention his wages of $730k a week, should not be a priority. 9. Victor Moses. Having excelled under exactly one coach in his 13-year career, it's no surprise that Victor Moses jumped at the chance to rejoin Antonio Conte at Inter Milan in January, cutting short a loan at Fenerbahce to make a run at a second league title alongside the Italian. But if the Nerazzurri want to make the move permanent, it could cost them as much as €15 million this summer, a steep sum for a man who turns 30 this year. Moses' work rate and energy helped him succeed as a wing-back when Chelsea won the title in 2016-17, but it's not just his age which has sapped those resources. Over the last 2 years, the Nigerian has played 25 league games, shaking out to 1,913 minutes, and of those 25 appearances, 20 were in Turkey. Hardly ideal preparation for finally toppling Juventus. In fact, since 2018, Moses has attempted just 32 tackles and completed only 15 of them, while dribbling ability has also deserted him, sliding from 68% to 52% over the last 3 campaigns. While Juve have been linked with Harry Kane and Barcelona's Arthur, Inter Milan are instead pursuing Moses and a 33-year-old Jan Vertonghen, and despite his name, the wing-back is unlikely to be a miracle worker. 8. Thomas Lemar. It should go without saying at this point that Thomas Lemar is not a player your club should look to sign in 2020. The Frenchman has been linked with Arsenal, in a swap deal which would see Lacazette go the other way, but hardly seems like good value, having contributed to just 7 goals in 62 appearances since his move to Atletico Madrid in 2018. Especially as Lacazette, in the worst form of his career, has scored and assisted 4 in his last 4 games at the time of writing. Lemar, now 24, was better than you'd imagine in his first year in Spain, but his form has collapsed in 2019-20. On 2 key passes a game, he now creates under 1, completes fewer dribbles, takes fewer shots, and wins possession 1.7 times per 90, compared to the impressive 2.9 he tallied last year. In fact, he makes fewer attempts on goal than centre-back Felipe, and creates fewer chances than defensive midfielder Thomas Partey, making it no surprise that he's played just 33% of available League and Champions League minutes this campaign. Of course, Lemar is young enough that it's easy to believe there's still a player in him, but you wouldn't want to bet more than €20 million on that belief, a price unlikely to tempt Atleti with 3 years left on his contract. 7. Josh King. Occasionally a club decides against a bad transfer at the 11th hour, and occasionally they just get lucky. Man United had a stroke of fortune in January 2020 when Bournemouth turned down their £20 million bid for Josh King on deadline day, instead bringing in former Watford striker Ighalo on loan. But the Cherries' relegation fears and just 12 months left on King's contract have reportedly kept the Norwegian on the radar for the Red Devils, Wolves and Leicester. On current form, it's hard to see why. King has just 4 goals to his name this campaign, trailing youngster Harry Wilson by 3, and he's currently taking just a single shot per game, his worst output since 2013. He doesn't like to press either, seeing his tackle and interception numbers slide in each of the last 4 years, and while he dribbles a lot, completing 2.5 take-ons a game at present, he's often wasteful when doing so. losing the ball over half the time since 2017. Sides may hold out hope that better teammates could spark better form from the versatile attacker, but King is hardly a long-term bet, with his 29th birthday looming next season. With Ryan Fraser 2 years younger and available on a free, it's hard to see why you'd go for King. 6. Adam Lallana. Another Premier League player on the move soon, Adam Lallana's contract expires in the summer of 2020, and has reportedly drawn interest from 5 different top-flight clubs, including Tottenham and Leicester, with former coach Brendan Rodgers keen to sign him for a second time. Now 32, the Englishman will no doubt be desperate for a last big contract, but whoever gives it to him may end up regretting it. As likeable as he may be, Lallana has played just 1,300 League and Champions League minutes since the start of 2017-18, averaging under 4 starts a year in that time, making him a little lucky to have earned a medal in Liverpool's UCL triumph in 2019, with even Daniel Sturridge getting more game time than him in the competition. That combined with his 110k weekly wage means that for every minute the former Southampton man has spent on the pitch in the last 3 years, Liverpool have paid him £12,921, almost half the average yearly salary in the UK. Given the financial burden caused by reduced matchday revenue as a consequence of the global health crisis and the staff facing furlough or redundancy, that should be enough to put off any prudent club this summer. 5. Nabil Fekir. A year ago, we encouraged teams to take a gamble on Fekir. The Frenchman, frequently sidelined with injury, was allowed to leave Lyon for just £18 million, and despite having scored and assisted 42 league goals in his final 2 campaigns with the French outfit, and almost joining Liverpool the year before, he ended up at Real Betis, where a solid campaign has seen him linked with Barcelona, as well as AC Milan and Newcastle. So why are we against a move now? Well, put simply, Fekir has not had a great year. Yes, he's playing for a mediocre side, sitting 13th in La Liga, but his tally of 7 goals and 3 assists is hardly worth the £45 million Betis want, and in fact, flatters the 26-year-old. Having managed 0.7 expected goals per game in the 2 previous seasons, Fekir's output has fallen to just 0.3 this year, and the metric actually suggests his 10-goal involvements should be closer to 7, with fewer key passes than ever before and a massive 44% of his shots coming from outside the box. Fekir could bounce back if supported by better teammates, but it's troubling that his underlying numbers are only 3rd best at Betis, behind 38-year-old Joaquim and Lauren Maron. For such a high fee, you want a reliable and elite performer, and Fekir at this point is neither. 4. Raul Jimenez. Like many players on our list, Raul Jimenez is an excellent footballer, just not a smart investment. The Mexican has been linked with 11 different clubs including Tottenham, Manchester United and even Juventus, but with that level of competition would almost certainly cost the full €60 million Wolves are asking to sell, a steep outlay for a player who recently turned 29. And Jimenez is arguably better suited to Wolves than he would be to a top side. With 13 league goals last year and 13 so far this year, he's not especially prolific, and by expected goals per 90, he ranks 21st in the Premier League, below other mid-table strikers like Lys Mousset and teammate Diogo Jota. That would likely sink further with Cristiano Ronaldo occupying Jimenez's preferred zone. And while his creativity stands out at Molineux, with only 5 Premier League players bagging more than his 6.6 expected assists this season, it's hard to see him playing such a starring role at Juve, where Dybala, Pjanic and Bentancur do the bulk of chance creation. Meanwhile, age could see his mobility diminish, and leave Juventus with another ageing forward whose wages make him hard to shift, a problem they have faced already with Mandzukic and Higuain. We'd rather see Jimenez stay in the Midlands, where he and his all-round game can continue to shine. 3. Jerome Boateng. At 31, Jerome Boateng is approaching the end of his time at the top, and Bayern Munich seem to be making plans without him. A fit Niklas Süle is now the club's first-choice centre-back, while David Alaba, Javi Martinez, Lucas Hernandez and Benjamin Pavard can also all play in the position, making it unsurprising that Boateng has been linked with a move to Chelsea for next campaign. However, he might not be the best target anymore. Boateng has played just 2,000 league minutes since 2014-15 thanks to fitness problems, and when he gets on the field he now makes just 1.2 tackles a game. That's partially down to Bayern's huge share of possession, but he still gets beaten too often, failing to get the ball a third of the time, and his passing has deteriorated too. Last year, Boateng was among the best ball progressors in Europe, moving the ball into the final third 10.5 times a game, ranking first in the Bundesliga. But this year, he's in 9th place with 6, behind 5 other Bayern players, showing his diminishing importance. He's also committing more fouls than at any point in the last 5 years, and earning more cards than ever before, suggesting that his once outstanding pace has finally dried up. and with wages of £205,000 a week, even a rumoured asking price of £10 million isn't low enough to tempt us. 2. Frank Kessie. Goal-scoring midfielders are hard to come by, and when Frank Kessie contributed a goal every 3 games for Atalanta as a 20-year-old back in 2017, he was immediately likened to Aaron Ramsey and Marek Hamšík, earning a swift move to Milan. But 3 years on, the Ivorian is taking fewer shots and creating fewer chances than ever, but inexplicably remains linked with Arsenal and Wolves. It's hard to see why. Kessie slumped to 0.2 expected goals and assists per game this season, the same as Nathan Ake and N'Golo Kante, and he lacks the rounded skill set which could justify his appeal. With 2.7 tackles and interceptions a game, he's a poor defender. With under a dribble each match, he's not especially press resistant. And while he's a decent passer moving the ball into the final third around 4.5 times per 90, that only ranks 5th at the San Siro, behind centre-back Matteo Musacchio and full-backs Calabria and Conte. Of course at 23, Kessie is hardly washed up, but his lack of a clear role or outstanding characteristics means that it's hard to see how he'd fit into a new side, and his reported price tag of €25 million is a lot to pay for a utility man. 1. Harry Kane. 2 years ago, Harry Kane said he wanted to stay at Spurs forever, but after rumours of interest from Barcelona and Real Madrid, the English forward has changed his tune. Kane may claim he won't remain in London for the sake of it, but it's hard to see why a club would pay over £100 million for him, having missed 52 league games to injury since 2016 and coming off the worst 24 months of his career so far. Kane's tally of 17 league goals in 2018-19 was hardly calamitous, but it was a big drop from 30 the year before, and more worryingly, the underlying stats dropped too. The 26-year-old went from taking 5.3 shots a game to 3.8, and now is at 2.9. While his expected goals per 90 have gone from 0.9 a game to 0.8 to 0.5. In fact, among Premier League strikers, Kane currently ranks 27th for XG each match, below Aston Villa's Wesley. And while his defenders will claim he is playing for a weaker Spurs side, Dele Alli and Heung-min Son have both seen improvements in their stats on last campaign. To be clear, we're not saying Kane is bad now, or could never recover the form which made him a legitimate rival to Lewandowski and Suarez as the best striker in the world, but signing him this summer is a risk, a gamble that he can find fitness and once again return to the top of the global game. For £100 million, you want a sure thing, and Kane is not that anymore. And that's all we have time for today, but who did we miss out? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more great content. Bye for now.